Hey everyone, I'm finally ready to tell the story about my nightmare closing for the house that I call the library house. I kind of don't even know where to begin, and it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy story, so hang in there with me, and I'll do a follow-up video in a couple months with the attorney that actually helped me with the process so that it can be explained in a little bit better detail. But here it is in a nutshell. So in June of 2019, I was in Mérida on a house hunting mission. I had a very short window of time to look, had all my, houses lined up. And I had taken the library house off of the list because it was a 1-bedroom. I thought, I'm just going to stick with 2 bedrooms. So at the very end of my trip, I just, something was kind of calling to me. I thought, well, I'm going to add it back on the list. So let's go and see the library house. I walked in, fell in love, wrote it up same day. 2 days later, from that original viewing, we had a signed around sale agreement. The sellers signed it, I signed it. Everything was rosy, and the sellers and I became friendly. We're from the same part of the United States. We are both in the same industry, and they were there when I looked at the house, and we just kind of hit it off. So far it was just a great transaction. Well, it's great until it's not. But we're still friends. That part's completely aside. What happened was when the sellers purchased the property, they used an attorney to form a corporation and have the corporation purchase the house. Well, 3 massive things went wrong with that. They didn't file the corporation properly, so it effectively didn't get filed, or it got the name was mixed up, and I'm not quite sure to this day which one that is. Then the title to the house wasn't properly filed, and the fiscal status of that closing there was some issues with. So we'll get to all that. I literally had to pour through my old emails to find this stuff. I don't know why I'm smiling. Well, because it's closed. That's why. Anyhow, I'm going to hit some highlights here for you from emails that I pulled out. June 19th, 2019, we're in contract. September 2019, email from my attorney. Moving very slowly since the lawyer that took care of their paperwork left them hanging to dry, and the notary has passed away. So all these problems, and their attorney is dead. So we had that to contend with. September 2019. I honestly don't think it will be done before the end of the year. Although it's hard to know, I'm working on 2 different angles right now to be able to solve the problem in a faster way. And then COVID happened. Now, when that happened, the federal building, the offices closed there for in-person appointments, and everything really ground to a halt. And because this is extra complicated, when they opened the offices back up, they were focusing on more standard issue, run-of-the-mill kinds of things, not the really complicated in-person visit sort of things. So that also brought everything to a bit of a standstill. April 2020, so now we're into the following year. April 2020, we agreed to do a soft closing. So I put 100% of the money to close into the real estate firm's account, which I love. Mexico International, shout out to you guys. Anyhow, put all the money there. 50% of that was released directly to the seller, so they had some funds and good faith from me. I had good faith from them that they would continue to work to resolve these issues. And then I could take possession of the property because I wanted to, make it my own. And I did. I started spending on it. Like, I did all new mini splits, changed out some furniture, had to do some roof work, painting, I spent a fair amount on it. So technically I didn't own it yet, but I had possession. Okay, June 2020, so this is a full year later now. Hi, Amy, we are still at square one. All government offices are still closed, and we haven't been able to get anything done since this paperwork process is very complicated, blah, blah, blah. April 2022, the following couple months. Oh, no, wait. Oh, I jumped. Sorry, I jumped. This is going to be really confusing, you guys. But in April of 2022, my attorney writes, a nightmare. We have managed to get their company recorded. Now we're working on the title of the property, but we've not been able to meet with the director of the notary's archive to set a strategy since we are missing a lot of paperwork to get a new deed, since the notary that handled the transaction has died. Oh, okay. July 2022, I released more funds to the seller so that they can cover the legal fees that they are racking up to straighten all of this out. And I was fine to do that. Again, we're still on very, very friendly terms. July 2022, here comes a new problem. This is where the fiscal problem comes in. The attorney that helped them purchase the house did them no favors. He did not pay off the taxes for the purchase then. So there are two things that now have come back on the previous seller. The acquisition tax, which was 2% at that time, had not been paid. And the capital gains tax, which was their seller's responsibility, had not been paid, but now it was falling on them. And all of this is just being uncovered, that all these back taxes had not been paid. So I released a little bit more of the funds in the amount of about 140,000 Mexican pesos. At that time, that was about 8,000 US dollars, so that they could pay those taxes. Clearly, they're working very hard on trying to get this closed so that they can get the rest of their funds. And all the while, we're still in good terms. We're on WhatsApp. I've gone to visit them at the beach. And they're no spring chickens either. So they've got their own set of problems coming up where they also really needed the funds. I was actually calling my company or real estate firm saying, hey, can you release a little bit more? They got this, they got that. But yeah, it all came together. January 2023. Wow. Email from my attorney. Paperwork of the property is almost done. He has not solved the fiscal part, and it's very important since they need to issue an invoice to me. Without that invoice showing that they paid those back taxes, whenever I went to sell the property in the future, taxes would be calculated as if I paid $0 0 pesos for the house. And of course, that would make a horrible situation for me. I'm trying to be fair here. So he got those paid, and the fiscal, he needed to provide a receipt so that we could proceed to closing any day now. July 2023, here we go. Let's see. Oh, this was a message from me to the seller directly. I told him that we're ready on our end and still waiting for him to provide the receipt showing the fiscal status of the company is resolved. Okay. They also needed to fix their name. So he went to SAT to do the whole fiscal thing, but the name wasn't fixed yet. And one time they went to SAT and didn't bring the right paperwork. So they had to get back in line, virtually in line. And that's a line that can take months and months. So that happened. August 2023. We are finally ready. This is from the attorney. We're finally ready to start moving forward with your fideicomiso process for the house at the library house. We were able to fix the RFC for the seller's corporation. We still have a couple of things ahead, but the hard part is done finally. September 2023. Finally, we are almost ready to request Amy's fideicomiso permit, but we are missing the company's notice of acquisition before the Secretaria de Relaciones Exteriores. That's a lot to say. And that was almost 15,000 Mexican pesos. And that was released out of the funds to close for them so that they could pay that. And then they had a major health issue. So in September of 2023, I instructed the escrow or the attorney to release 10,000 US dollars directly to the sellers. So because with their medical stuff, And at this point, we'd come through the really big things that we had to resolve. So that was fine. November 2023, I FedExed the power of attorney documents and the final amount to close the transaction. December 12th, 2023. This is 4.5 years later. It's closed. It's in my name. In the fideicomiso, it's in my name. All the taxes are paid. Everything is proper. There's no weird lien or gravamen on the property, and I couldn't be happier. Would I do it again? Yeah. I know that's so crazy to say, but for this house, I would. I wish it hadn't been such a bumpy ride and so stressful, especially for the people selling the property. But I'm glad I hung in there. I don't recommend it for people. And the other kind of really great thing was the attorney who was helping, he was both of our attorneys, but nothing additionally was charged to me for all this time. Like 4.5 years he worked on this and didn't upcharge or just charge for all the time on the emails that he wrote and the follow-up that he did. It was just the standard closing costs. My closing cost to complete this sale was about $8,000 US. And that's kind of standard right now. And some of that depends on the price of the house too. Anyway, I know that was a lot and it was a mouthful and kind of a crazy situation. But when you buy a property in Mexico and you're buying it in a fideicomiso or deeded, just make sure that don't try and do anything crazy cool like form a company to have the company buy the house and all that. Just buy it in your name and make sure it is free of liens and that they've paid their proper taxes on it and whatnot. All of that comes down to having a really good attorney. I won't move a muscle without this attorney anymore. Luis Loria, Balote and Associates. I'm forever your client. Thank you for having my back. And thank you everyone for watching.